There haven't been any GCSE exams since 2019, so this is my breakdown for anyone studying AQA GCSE Geography for the summer of 2022. Welcome to my breakdown video for AQA GCSE Geography for the summer of 2022. Now you're going to be taking paper 1 on Monday the 23rd of May in the morning session. Now in this video breakdown I'm going to go through all the different elements that you should be aware of heading into paper 1 on Monday the 23rd. Again, this exam hasn't changed, it's still an hour and a half and worth 88 marks. Before we get into the content, make sure you give this video a like if you find it useful to get it out to more pupils. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel and check out any of the other exam videos that are after this one and in this series.
The structure of paper 1 consists of 3 sections, A, B and C. You need to answer all the questions in sections A and B, but then you have a choice when it comes to section C. This depends on which topics you have studied with your teacher, so you'll choose 2 out of the 3 topics, either coasts, rivers or glaciers. The first thing I always suggest to my students is to read instructions on the cover sheet carefully before skimming through the entire paper. You will start with section A, the challenge of natural hazards. The section will contain a variety of different questions from multiple choice all the way up to a 9 marker with SPAG marks available. So these are the main topics you need to be revising for section A. You need to start off with a basic understanding of the whole distribution of volcanoes around the world. You need to understand the differences between the plate margins we see around the world, including destructive, constructive and conservative plate margins. You need to have a good understanding of earthquake examples and case studies. You need to understand the differences between the primary and secondary effects, as well as the immediate and long-term responses. My pupils have looked at the Nepal earthquake and the Italian earthquake. You also need to demonstrate why people choose to live near hazards, so you need to consider the reasons why they might not be able to move away. Risk management is also important, so understanding of the 3 Ps, prediction, protection and planning is also essential. Global atmospheric circulation is one of the most difficult topics on the exam paper. Please take some time to have a look at this and understand the differences between the Hadley cell, the Ferrel cell and the polar cell, as well as recognising the impact the global atmospheric circulation model has on ecosystems around the world. You should also have studied a tropical storm case study and understand how tropical storms are formed, the differences between cyclones, typhoons and hurricanes, as well as a specific case study, understanding the main effects and responses of case studies such as Typhoon Haiyan. Extreme UK weather is also essential for this unit. You should have studied a case study of extreme weather in the UK, such as the Cumbria floods from 2009 or the Somerset floods from 2014. Climate change is the last part of section A, and you should understand and have reviewed the main evidence proving climate change is happening, looked at the natural and human causes of climate change, as well as understanding mitigation and adaptation strategies to climate change. Section B looks at the living world, which investigates the variety of ecosystems we find around the world. In this section you can encounter multiple choice questions up to a 9 marker, but this time without SPAG marks. The topics for revision are ecosystems, tropical rainforests, cold environments or hot deserts. To begin with, you should understand the main parts of an ecosystem and the distribution of the different ecosystems around the world. You should have a decent understanding through science and geography lessons when looking at food chains and webs. You'll then focus on tropical rainforests. You'll look at the climate and then you'll look at some of the problems caused by deforestation. You'll look at the causes of deforestation as well as the impacts, management and protection. You then get the option between answering a question on either cold environments or hot deserts. My pupils have studied cold environments. You would have studied cold environments such as polar or tundra regions. Alaska is an example of a tundra region, whereas Antarctica is an example of a polar region. When looking at hot deserts, you should have studied a case study such as the Thar Desert across India and Pakistan. For both topics, you'll need to know the following: the main characteristics, adaptations and climate of the area. You need to then fully understand the opportunities and challenges for development in these areas, as well as the main threats and management strategies. Each part of Section C is slightly shorter than Sections A and B, and this is made up of coasts, rivers or glaciers, and again you only choose 2 out of the 3 sections. My group this year have studied rivers and glaciers, so they will only complete those sections. When looking at coasts, you need to show understanding of the following features and how they're formed, as well as being able to apply your knowledge to Ordnance Survey map extracts. You need to understand the basic differences between the types of waves we see at the coastline. You need to understand the differences between weathering, mass movement and erosional processes. You then look at transportation processes, which moves those sediment and sand throughout the sea, and then finishing with the deposition, which drops that sediment on beaches. You should have also looked at the geology or the rock structure of coastlines around the UK and understand the differences between headlands and bays, wave-cut platforms, caves, arches, stacks and stumps. You should also know the main differences between sandy beaches and pebbly beaches, the differences between spits and bars, and finally understanding of how sand dunes form. Moving on to coastal management strategies, and you should have an understanding of the differences between soft and hard engineering strategies, as well as coastal realignment. Possible case studies you may have looked at include Swanage in the Dorset coastline, as well as Lyme Regis. Again, with rivers you need to show understanding of the following features and how they're formed, as well as being able to apply your knowledge to Ordnance Survey map extracts. We start off with the main fluvial processes and then looking at erosion, transportation and deposition. You should understand the differences between a long profile of a river as well as the cross profile of the river. Then moving on to the main features you may see along a river profile, such as interlocking spurs and waterfalls and gorges in the upper course. Then as you move down the river you'll find meanders, oxbow lakes, levees and floodplains. Finally, you look at causes of flooding, including physical and human causes. You'll be looking at how precipitation and discharge can affect this, relating to a hydrograph. Then looking at river management strategies, such as hard and soft engineering. And finally, you look at a management strategy example. Possible examples could include looking at the River Tees or the River Severn and its estuary, managing floods in Banbury or the Jubilee River Flood Relief Channel. The final section of Paper 1 looks at glaciers. Again, you start off with the main processes you see at glaciers, such as weathering, erosion, such as abrasion and plucking, and then again transportation and deposition. You need to understand the different landforms you're going to see through erosional processes, such as corries, arêtes, pyramid peaks, and glacial valleys. Then you'll also look at transportation and depositional landforms, such as moraines, drumlins, and erratics. Once again, you have to apply your knowledge to map extracts, so again being able to identify those features may be useful. We then look at the economic opportunities in glacial areas such as farming, forestry, quarrying and tourism. This also creates conflicts in these areas, and again quarrying, tourism, wind turbines and zip wire proposals all create conflicts in these glacial environments. Finally, the management strategies. And again, you may have looked at tourism in the Lake District as your example of how to manage an area. This includes looking at features such as the attractions, the social, economic and environmental impacts of tourism, managing traffic congestion and managing footpath erosion.
So that's my breakdown of everything you need to know heading into Paper 1 on the 23rd of May 2022. Again, make sure you give this video a like if you found it useful and subscribe to the channel for more in this series of exam breakdown videos.